Good afternoon. It's great to be here. As Lauren said, I am Earl Adams Jr., honored being the Vice President of Policy and Regulatory Affairs here at Plus. We're going to have a great conversation, moving the vision to reality, how TRATON and Plus are on the path towards driverless trucks. I'm joined by two seasoned experts in the AV space. Mr. James Cooper, who is the Director of Autonomous Business Services. I want to make business development, at International, and Miss Amisha Vadalia, who is Plus's very own Vice President of Operations. Thank you all very much for joining us. Appreciate it. So what we're going to talk about today when reflecting on this journey that Plus and the TRATON Group have been on for several years, is where we have been, what we've learned, and frankly, where we're going when it comes to the deployment of autonomous trucks. And sort of in that, just to kind of get things started, I, as Lauren mentioned, came from government, and one of the things that was said is that autonomous trucks were always 3 years away, but yet, had not arrived. But it very much seems like we've reached an inflection point, and even more so have moved beyond it. If you look at just from a regulatory standpoint, announcements recently by the current administration really show that the table has been set for deployment. And so now the discussion has gone from before just talking about testing to actually how do you commercialize this, And so just curious, James, if you don't mind, well, Amisha has your bike, but, talk to us about, how have we gotten here? How are we here today where we're talking about the commercialization of autonomous vehicles?
Yeah, thanks. I think for those of us that have been involved in this for quite a long time, we've seen a number of times we felt like the technology was ready to take that step into commercialization. And I think what we've really seen for the last 18 months, 2 years is an industry that's really started to mature, both in the development of the technology, but also the development of the supply chain, and making sure we've actually got ways that we're able to put this and industrialize these platforms into vehicles. And I think we've also seen quite a lot of maturity growing within our customers, both a realization of what this technology actually means, both the potential benefits, but also some of the challenges that come along with it, and some of the adaptation they're going to have to make as operators of this technology going forwards. And I think we can talk a lot about how the technology acts as an enabler and how that's now made things more viable. And I also like to think about the why now question as the need. I think we really are at a point where we need to show how this technology can work, how it can create value, and what it can really do in the real world. I think it's a lot of people believe, and we strongly believe, that we are only a couple of years away from sort of real commercial application of this technology. And that's actually a really short amount of time. And then that's going to go really quickly. There's a huge amount we have to learn about how this technology needs to be refined, how we can actually enable our customers to utilize this and create value. So the maturity really has helped us get to this stage. But I think now we're at the point where this is an absolute essential step that we have to take. Because if we don't take it now, we're really not going to have the time to really build out the understanding and really develop the full solution, not just the virtual driver, but the operations, the support, and how we can actually make this a viable application of groundbreaking technology.
Sure. I appreciate it. Amisha, how about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd echo those sentiments. So I've been in the autonomy industry for 6 years. And for the first time, I think over the last couple of years, we're really seeing the pathway to commercialization crystallized in a way that we've not seen in the past. It's the first time we've seen this in autonomy's history. And so I think to echo what James is saying, the future is now, the time is now. So we really are getting ready for that. And then to your question in terms of why now compared to other points in time, I think we're seeing a lot of different factors. So one being what you're seeing on the stage today. So we're seeing the realized benefits of direct and official partnerships with OEMs. So what that enables is, if you really want to integrate a level 4 technology into a truck, a semi-truck, you need to ensure that there is a tight integration between the base vehicle software and the autonomous software. So partnerships like what you're seeing with TRATON and Plus enable that. And we're really proud to have a partnership with International in the US, as well as with TRATON's other brands in the EU that allow us to conduct this public road testing across the board. And then also with what Plus's bread and butter is, of course, the technology has really advanced in the last couple of years. So at Plus, we're making consistent progress towards completing our safety case. And so we just announced yesterday, when we achieved it earlier this month, that we had a driverless safety maneuver testing that was successfully completed on a closed course. So these type of milestones are really critical to ensure that we're seeing the right progress towards getting that safety validation before we're commercially releasing level 4. And then I think important to note, even outside of autonomous trucking, but in other autonomous sectors, you're seeing a lot of success in places like San Francisco, where I live. So right now, driverless Waymos are kind of used synonymously with Uber, taxis, Lyfts. And so all those positive traction that we're seeing across other industries also benefits us. So collectively, I think we're now kind of at that right time to start thinking about commercialization.
Yep. No, I appreciate that. You know, as I said, I don't like to look at it as being at an inflection point because I think we're beyond it. And as you all have just sort of laid out, there's a lot of evidence to show that this is not a vision anymore. This is reality. And as we're looking at reality, we have to look at the commercial benefits. So let me sort of touch on this. I mean, there's multiple ways that you can go to market, and one of the ways that Plus and the TRATON Group are going is together, through this integration, this collaboration, this partnership. Talk to me about, why is that important? You can always retrofit a truck with, an L4 system afterwards, but, are there benefits to this deep integration between the software developer, in this case, which is Plus, and the OEM, which is, International or the TRATON Group?
Yeah, I can start. I think it's honestly, I think it's an absolutely essential step, because one thing we consistently hear from our customers is that they really value the relationship with the OEM and how they've been working. It's a relationship which we've had for decades or over hundreds of years, actually, in some cases. And I think we've gone through a long journey of being able to introduce new technology, being able to support that technology, and be able to be there to support them as you go through the growing pains of new technology. And it's a relationship that they really put it at quite high importance. And when we talk about autonomous, it's important that we really want to maintain that relationship. We don't want to sort of diversify this product any differently than we do other things. We really want to be able to take a strong control over the products we're releasing to our customers, and being able to do it safely, reliably, and make sure that we're giving them something which we know that will provide value to them. That said, I think we're now in a world where there's a huge amount of rapid development in the space of lots of digital platforms in AI, and autonomous is one of those areas which is a really rapidly evolving technology. So being able to partner with a leading company such as Plus really allows us to bring a groundbreaking, cutting-edge technology to our customers, and allows us to really accelerate in areas which traditionally OEMs has not been an area they can traditionally respond into. So being able to have that relationship is super important, and it enables us to be able to be more responsive and to be able to bring new technology to our customers. And I think you may have heard yesterday in our keynote, Katarina Modal-Nielsen from TRATON talking about culture. And I think that's something that we really put a lot of focus into. When we work with partners, and then we spent a long time talking together at Plus, one of the things that was super obvious to us is the shared vision and culture about how we can realize customer value together. And it's not about disrupting where disruption is not needed. It's about being able to really focus on what our customers want and how we can utilize the best of each other's strengths to bring something quite new and quite revolutionary into the market. So it's really something which I think we've seen played out in the first sort of years of our partnership, and we've been really happy the results we've been seeing. And I think that we're in a great space now where we can accelerate from where we are and the foundation that we've built. And I think now, as we're going to push into commercial piloting and scaling up our testing throughout this year, I think we're going to see this relationship really show how we are now better positioned to move faster, deploy faster, and accelerate the development together with our customers.
No, I appreciate what you're saying, James. What I'm hearing your customers trust you, and that is an important part of your value chain. In the same way, you need to have that trust with the partner that you bring on the AV side as well. And so, sort of bringing all of that together and then being able to go to market together. That's the way in which you continue to add the value to your customer when it's all said and done with.
They need to know who they can turn to when things don't work out as they expect. And we spent a long time building that relationship and showing how we can help resolve problems, how we can overcome problems together, and provide a consistency in the product we do. So it's an important part of the relationship, and that's why we're really making sure we maintain this, even when it comes to something so new and disruptive as autonomous.
Yeah, definitely. So, Amisha, I know from just experience how tightly, the tight ship that you run on the operations side at Plus, but more so, the value that you put in and those in your team put in the relationship and the partnership with the TRATON group, and how you all every day are trying to, as James said, figure out how we can be that value add. But talk to us about, in your mind, how the importance of that integration with respect to the TRATON relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. I think James touched upon it beautifully in terms of the natural synergy that we have with our teams. And it goes beyond James and I, right? So every function that's working on this program, from engineering to operations to product to our leadership teams, everyone is just heavily committed to doing the right thing so that we can get to that joint end goal of actually commercializing this technology. And when we think about it practically, right from the beginning of the design, so when we think about the initial hardware designs and architecture designs that we're doing, our teams are collaborating. We're talking about the testing and validation. All that is done in conjunction with both teams. So we ensure that there's synergy with how we're doing things in the US and EU, and also with the operational deployment, right? Ensuring that the right folks have the right training to ensure when we actually go on public roads, everyone's doing the right thing. So it's been a good relationship.
Yeah. Well, I think that's more than anything. Obviously, you all have very large teams, but it also speaks to the dynamism of your relationship and your own personality. So welcome that. So now take a step back and talk to me about what are you hearing from your customers relating specifically to autonomy as they are looking at trying to make decisions. About their fleet and what it looks like over the next 5 to 10 years. What specifically are you hearing from them around what they need or what they want to know about from an autonomous provider?
Of course. Now, I don't want to misrepresent that relationship either. I think the best way to sum it up is a cautious optimism around autonomous. I think those that have spent time engaging with autonomous technology in different levels have really been convinced of the reality that's coming, the reality that it is going to be a critical part of our logistics ecosystem in the future. Everyone that spent time with it know that it's a matter of when, not if, anymore. That said, they give us some very strong feedback about the challenges we face in the near term. We have to be able to find a way to put it into a positive TCO for them. We have to be able to resolve some of the challenges around sort of early scaling of new technology. There's a lot of elements of the current operational process that needs to be adapted to suit autonomous technology, and this is why we really want to take a step into the next stage where we actually start increase the engagement with the customers, make this technology much more operational, because there's a huge amount we need to do. Both to refine the blueprint of autonomous, refine the operational processes around it, and also find the use cases which allow early deployment of this technology. This is not a technology which will blanketly apply to all use cases, at least not in its early phases. We need to be selective. We need to find the use cases where it creates the value. And I think we have to do that together with customers. And I think there's we really need to be able to understand together how we can actually deploy it and how we can help them take control of this product.
And so in that spirit, Amisha, as the the supporter, the backup, the provider of that of this technology. Talk to me about how Plus is addressing these operational realities around autonomous. There is a driver, so if it needs to refuel, if there is a mechanical issue, how is Plus sort of planning and preparing for that, so that, and then be able to provide that information to James for his customers? Talk about that.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of the most common questions we get because trucking is such an operations heavy game, right? There's all these different things, especially on the logistics side, that you have to solve for if you want to stay efficient and ensure that you're delivering your loads on time, which is what's most important. So I think a lot of the learnings actually will come from TRATON and Plus's joint operations. So this year we have an important milestone where we will be starting customer operations. And so we'll be talking to our joint partners and really trying to understand how they're dealing with some of these logistical challenges. And the end goal will be to create a standard procedure for things like fueling, loading, and roadside assistance, so that we're able to kind of fully cover any of the issues that they might face. And then also to the topic of, what happens if the vehicle is on the road and something happens, which is another common question. So let's use a tire blowout as an example. So because the autonomous system is constantly monitoring the base vehicle system as well as all the sensors on the vehicle itself, as soon as something goes wrong, like a tire blowing out, we'll immediately know about it. And so we'll have remote monitors who are actually looking at the system. And as soon as they determine that something's wrong, they'll deploy a team either to go and fix the tire, or they'll go retrieve the truck, whatever they think is most appropriate. And the end goal really, in terms of what TRATON and Plus is trying to develop, is that the truck is able to handle any type of atypical situation or undesirable situation just as calmly and safely as a human driver would. And so when you encounter something like that, execute a minimal risk maneuver, pull over, and it doesn't have to impede operations in any way.
Yeah. I think one of the things we also have to be very we have to spend a lot of time thinking about is how we proactively plan for sort of operational disruption. So I think if we think about this as something which is purely a reactive thing, we wait for an issue to happen, we wait for a challenging ODD to occur or a challenging environment to occur for our vehicles, then we'll be relying too much on the truck to try and solve itself. We also need to really step into how, as a service and how as a solution, we can really help our customers not even release a truck into a scenario which we know is going to be challenging or questionable. So it's a combination of making sure the vehicle is as capable, being able to react to issues when it happens, but also working proactively, so we're minimizing the times that that's even going to occur.
Well, I am, once a safety regulator, always a safety regulator. And I can appreciate the broad arc of what you all are talking about is how do you ensure that the vehicle is safe? Your point, we can't wait until the edge case. We have to prepare and ensure that it does not happen. We have to know through our part, through the work that you're doing, that Plus is doing on the road, how the vehicle is going to react so that we can be prepared. I think that when it comes to the big question that the public has, and I've always maintained that the existential threat of autonomy is not regulation, but it's public acceptance, it's public adoption. It comes down to safety. And so, you've already spoken, both of you all, in very broad terms, talked about how you're thinking about safety, but, anything more specific as to the approach? I sort of would assume, as you said, James, you have relationships that are hundreds of years old. So your customers trust the safety of your vehicles. But talk to us about, how that safety piece is front. I know it's front and center, but how you all are talking to your customers and frankly to the public to assure them that, your decision to enter into this relationship from a safety perspective is a good thing.
Of course, I mean, as an OEM, safety is probably the single biggest factor when it comes to us, when it comes to product development and release. And I mean, we provide a level of, I think one of the things we bring to this partnership is also a level of rigor and a level of process to how we safely bring products to market and how we put them on the road. And that's been one of the key sort of collaborations we've had about how we can create sort of release processes to actually start evaluating and releasing sort of software, virtual driver software. It's a new area for us. Of course, we've had to We've had to adapt. We've had to think about it, but at no point have we lowered the bar when it comes to safe operation and safety evaluation. And it's going to be it's a journey not just of theoretical safety or engineering, but we have to go through a very emotional journey with our customers, a very emotional journey with the public on demonstrating how these vehicles can be safe, or how these are safe and are much more safe than you can expect from manual operation. It's the nature of the business that instance will gain a spotlight, but the reality is that autonomous technology was out there in real environments are already demonstrating huge improvements on safety and incident rates versus manual operation. And one thing that gives me a lot of security in this space is that I know that as a system, as a solution, it's going to be ever evolving, and every near miss, every small instance will result in an improvement of the product, and it'll be an exponential improvement of safety over time. So the important thing for us now is to focus on how we can demonstrate safe operation in the near term, how we can get to a safe release of this technology. But once we're there, I think that it's only going to get better and better and better as it becomes more and more mature and more operational.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe I can talk a little bit about the software development process as well. So I think one thing that we really gain from the global TRATON relationship is that we are building a global product. And so because we're doing testing in the US and EU, we're able to collect a diverse amount of data. So as anyone knows, if you've rented a car in a different country, right, you have different road signs that you're dealing with, road regulations, driving behaviors, weather, infrastructure. And so by us being able to have a lot of testing on different continents in different conditions, we're able to collect all of this data and then feed it back into the system. And so in the end, what we're doing is collecting these edge cases quicker, and we're naturally building a more robust system. And between the TRATON and Plus teams as well, we're able to see the benefits of these different regional improvements quite quickly. So if we detect something in the US, that'll have a direct impact in the betterment of the software in the EU and vice versa.
Oh no! Well, I appreciate that, and very excited about the future for this relationship, the partnership, collaboration between the two. Just curious, as we close, what are you all excited about? What are you looking forward to on the horizon with respect to this great relationship and this partnership between Plus and TRATON and International?
Yeah, I think what I'm most excited about kind of comes back to what we talked about at the beginning. The future is now, right? So this is the first time that we've really seen the pathway to commercialization so concrete. And now we kind of at a fingertip away, we're able to see factory built driver out trucks that are going to come to market jointly with the OEM relationships that we have. And so in the coming years, I think we have kind of a more concrete plan that's also laid out. So we're expanding our real world testing. So TRATON and Plus are testing in Texas. Plus is also doing its independent development along the Texas Triangle. And so these real world miles will allow us to, again, make our software more robust and get ready for commercialization. And then as we come to the following years as well, we'll be working on closing out our safety case. And so then we'll be proceeding with the on-road validation and, again, getting ready for the commercial rollout. And so I'm just really excited to see all the benefits that autonomous trucking is going to bring to our society in the near future.
James?
I think for quite a few years, the focus of of autonomous has been on the development of the technology, development of the virtual driver. And of course, that's the key enabler, which is going to make this technology viable. But what I'm really most excited about is actually looking into the operational scenarios that this is going to develop. I think that as an OEM, we're not even really fully aware of the level of innovation and development which our customers are going to bring to the solution. I mean, we're trying to bring this to a level which we're able to start interacting with it, able to start thinking about how they can carry out their operations differently. And I'm most excited to really think what they're going to bring to the table as we increase that engagement and as they really think about how they can utilize this technology to really change the game when it comes to over-the-road transport.
Well, I want to thank both of you all for your insights and your commitment to the future being now. James, Amisha, thank you so much for taking the time. Trucking is so important to this country, to the world. 70% of all freight moves via truck. And if we are able to leverage through a safe and reliable and efficient manner to improve upon that, we're all the better for it. So thank you very much for the partnership, James, and all of your colleagues at International and TRATON. And Amisha, thank you for your leadership at Plus over operations. We very much appreciate you all joining us today. And we're looking forward to our next fireside chat. So thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.